I'm Steve Rose. What sets us apart is that green is not just a buzzword like a lot of people use. Green is an operative word, and it really is easy to do. I'm going to share with you my secrets on how to do this at home. I believe that people want to live this way, they just don't know how to go about it. And that's the whole purpose of the show, to teach you how to do it. I'm going to show you the pathway to green living and organic cooking. Welcome to the Organic Rose. Welcome to the Organic Rose. I'm here at Wise Acre Farm in Windsor, California, and we're going to talk chickens. Tiffany.
Hi, Steve.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. Thank you so much for having us here and allowing us to do an episode of the Organic Rose.
Oh, of course. I'm happy to be able to share this amazing farm with everyone. I'm proud to be able to be the owner and the full-time farmer here, and I'm really looking forward to showing everyone what we do here. It
really is an amazing place. Tell me a little bit about your day-to-day stuff.
So when I arrive on the farm, I have a few animals I have to feed right away. We have 4 different actual flocks and areas that we have chickens, and then we have some goats as well. So the goats get fed, one of the flocks of the chickens get fed. We have some pullets right now. Pullets are female chicks that are not laying eggs yet. So I have to open those up, let them out, because we tuck them away at night to keep them safe.
Right.
So I open them up at night, and then I as well feed our guard dog, Buddy, who is about 195 pounds. He's our Great Pyrenees, and he is the hardest working individual on this farm.
And what about his teammate?
Is Honk. Honk is a Chinese swan goose. Honk helps Buddy, keeps him alert. They're loud, they're slightly obnoxious, and they keep kind of smaller predators away. Foxes, raccoons, possums, predators that are just would be intimidated by a loud, obnoxious bird.
Do you collect eggs during a certain time of the day? Is it morning or evening? Or?
In the evening.
Okay.
In the evening, it depends on what time of year it is. So about 2 to 3 hours before the sun sets is when all the main flock gets fed water, as well as collection of eggs, and all the roosting boxes, which is what a chicken lays their eggs in, get closed at night. That way the chickens don't fall asleep in there, and we don't have poop in there, which makes for dirtier eggs, essentially. So all the chickens get kicked out, the roosting boxes get closed, and then we come back later in the evening and open them up. So that's our day-to-day for caring for the chickens. In the morning time as well, I will wash, hand wash, sort, and box up all the eggs we've gotten from the day before.
And do you candle the eggs too? Is that still done or not?
It can be done. I have a candler, but I have a pretty decent eye, and eggs, when you work with hundreds of eggs every day,
I bet.
you see the check marks. A check mark is kind of a darker spot in the eggshell, and that is an indicator that there's a crack somewhere. So we also are pretty rough when we handle the eggs, because if the shell is thin enough for my hand to go through it, it's not a high quality egg that we want to sell. So it breaks and we feed it back to the chickens.
So you mix that, I just learned that, you mix that with the feed?
Yeah, so if we have any eggs that that just the shell is cracked and not the membrane inside, we save all of those, and then we do what I call chicken crack, because they go absolutely crazy for it, and so they can smell it when we come walking out to the pasture, and we'll have a couple hundred chickens greet us at the fence if we're not quick enough. And we just toss it out. So we mix the crack eggs with just their regular grain that we feed them every day, and they go crazy for it. So we toss it out to them, and then when my bucket gets a little low, I actually walk around so that the chickens that are a little intimidated by the whole process of all the chickens coming and fighting over the grain, they can get their fair share as well.
So does that actually put calcium back into their system?
Yeah, calcium and protein as well. That is what the shell is derived of. So you could have a bad shell that is thin, not perfectly round. We have ones that are like torpedoes, so they're not just that pretty little round. They're more shaped, straight up like a torpedo, essentially. That has no reflection on the yolk inside. the yolk inside is still going to be good and high quality. Just sometimes the outside doesn't always look the prettiest.
Yeah.
But we have certain restaurants that buy those eggs from us, and they don't discriminate at all.
So Tiffany, tell me about your farm.
So what makes Wise Acre a little more unique is we have pasture-raised chickens. So our main flock consists of about 1,500 laying hens.
Wow.
They are 2 years or younger, and every, depending on what time of year it is, what the weather's like, we move the hens every few days. So right now we stretch it out till about 5 days because we are creating a fire break around our 15 acres of property here. So we had them moving along the edge, and we just really wanted them to knock down. They will eat the grass down pretty well. The grass lays down, so you can't tell how thick it is out here, but it is pretty thick. But during winter time, we could move them every day, every 2 days if the rain is pretty heavy, to keep them healthy. They stay healthier if they're moving and they're on fresh land and fresh ground, and they're not essentially sitting in their own feces.
Right.
So by the time we move them around the property, it'll have been 6 months before they're back on the spot that they were previously
that's pretty good.
on. So it's kind of what keeps it unique. Our chickens are pretty much always outdoors, and they have good antibodies, and they're healthy, happy ladies.
There's a lot of misconceptions about cage-free eggs and cage-free chickens.
There is. The USDA regulates the term cage-free as well as free-range. And neither of those terms actually mean that the chicken has to be outside at all. So cage-free just means they're not in a cage.
So they could be in a big barn.
Could be in a big building, in a big barn, have a very little space, but they're not actually in a tiny cage. So those chickens can be considered cage-free. A free-range chicken can have access to outside, so they primarily live inside, and they can have just a super small, cat-sized door to where they have the ability to go outside, but they might not ever actually go outside because their food and their water and everything will be inside. where it's safe and everything. So pasture raised is not a term registered or that is regulated through the USDA, but there is a nonprofit organization that you can pay to get the humane stamp on your humanely raised stamp on your products, whether it's eggs or even if you're selling meat, anything like that. They have their certain standards, and that's kind of where the pasture raised comes from. But we operate a very open operation here. People know exactly how our chickens are treated and know that our chickens aren't just given access to outside, they are outside. So
what made you leave your career and literally jump into the coop?
Well, I was a school secretary before we purchased this farm, and I was on my lunch break. I was sitting at my desk and I'm scrolling through Facebook, and I saw that this farm was for sale. I've lived in Windsor my whole life. I have had my own backyard chickens for years and years, and I just couldn't, this farm was going to disappear essentially if someone didn't step up and purchase it. And there aren't a lot of people who are, willing to kind of drop everything, not make a lot of money, and work a ridiculous amount of hours every single day. But I just feel like there's an issue with farming and the way that farm animals are treated. And if you can't beat them, join them and give people an opportunity to buy a product from animals that are humanely treated. And I'm proud to be able to offer that to people, and I'm very, very happy. It's been an amazing thing for our family, and it's good to be outside, and we just work hard and we love it.
That's great. I think you're a nugget in the community, and I think you're a very good asset for our community.
Thank you.
Sonoma County, and I love it out here. It's beautiful.
Yeah, they're happy girls.
So how do you move the coops, right?
We do.
How do you move them?
So we have I call it the monster truck. So I have a 73 Chevy with tracks on it that move the coops, especially with the property gets almost marsh-like. It doesn't drain super well. So the tracks are the only thing that are going to move the coops. What actually is really amazing about the coops is the original founder of this farm, who we purchased it from, he built everything from scratch.
Wow.
So everything that you're seeing, besides the nesting boxes, which were purchased, but the structures themselves, he built from scratch. So he did all the trial and error. He did all the main work, really, when it comes to that. So there's essentially 3 different builds. We have our mega coop. Our mega coop is huge, and it has roosting boxes or nesting boxes inside. It has roosts for the chickens to sleep on at night. It has a feed trailer in the back, as well as a PVC pipe drink at the bottom. So underneath it is a large PVC pipe that has a nipple system at the bottom, and so we fill big barrels of water, and that's what waters the chickens during the day. We have the conveyor coop. The conveyor coop is our fanciest coop. The chickens lay the eggs in top boxes. The eggs roll down, and then we actually can have a hand crank and crank the eggs towards us. So that's the easiest one.
Well,
that's what the friends
neat.
and family like to collect from, because it's really a fun thing to do. And that one as well has the big watering pails, and then the nipple system underneath with the PVC pipes. You want to give chickens as many opportunities as possible for food and water alike, because you have ones that are low on the pecking order, and some of the higher up girls won't let them eat or drink. So we have there's lots of different options, and then we have 2 double trailers that have a feeder in the back, and then places for them to sleep, and nesting boxes for them to lay their eggs in as well. All of them have LED lights that run through the top. We keep the girls on a 14-hour light schedule during fall and winter and spring. That'll keep their egg production up. Those LEDs are powered by solar.
Yeah,
so
I see all the panels around.
Yeah, so we have the solar panels. We need to actually adjust some of them because they're not fully facing north, but we've been spoiled during summer. You don't have to adjust the panels at all because there's enough sun.
Well, this has been an excellent interview. I had to say it, right? But I want to thank you so much, Tiffany.
Thank you.
It's been great. I've learned so much, and our viewers are going to learn a lot. A lot of people don't, especially people that live in larger cities and they're in that type of setting, don't know a lot about chickens, and they just take it for granted. They go to the store, buy a dozen eggs, and take it home, right? But how do those eggs get to in that box, in that refrigerator, in that store? And
it takes a long time. I mean, here I am collecting the eggs in the evening. I'm washing and sorting them in the morning. They're going straight into my vending machine, and they're pretty much all being sold within that day. So one tip I give to people if you buy farm fresh eggs is they don't hard boil well until they're at least 5 days old. The membrane and the shell are still really connected at that point. Shells have a ton of microscopic little holes in them that get bigger as the egg ages. So if you want to know if your egg is still good, you can float it in water. If it floats, it's bad. If it sinks, it's still good. The holes aren't big enough. There's not a lot of air in there. So, but you want to wait until a little bit of the air gets in and separates that membrane, and then your hard-boiled egg will be easier to peel. So
interesting.
There's something that could hopefully help everyone out.
Definitely help me out.
I hope everyone is buying farm fresh eggs.
Me too. Well, great. Well, thank you so much.
Oh,
and yeah, I'm going to bring my wife up here and she can check it out as well.
Yeah.
And I'm going to get a goose for our chickens.
Yes. Everyone should have a goose for their chickens.
Tortilla española is a totally famous dish in Spain. You'll find it in the north, the central Spain, south of Spain, in the eastern part of Spain. So basically it's a Spanish version of the frittata. We have some eggs, and we've got a little bit of mushroom and some asparagus that I've already prepared and sauteed off a little bit. Here's the key though. Some nice fresh organic potatoes with a little bit of caramelized onion. You mix all that together. So I've already sauteed this in some olive oil. So this is ready to go. I'll set this aside for a moment. So in Spain, Any tapas place that you go to, any restaurant that you go to, tortilla española is very popular. It changes from place to place, region to region, depending on the ingredients. So the ingredients are changed often. We're going to put a little bit of olive oil in the pan. Oop. But every Spaniard that you run into, they all know what they are. They all love them. It's so popular that there's actually factories in Spain that produce tortillas for bars that don't have kitchens. And they just buy them and distribute them, deliver them daily. Tortilla also can sit out at room temperature. Okay, I'm going to turn the heat down a little bit. Go ahead and crack some eggs. My family make these all the time. A little slice of tortilla on a little bit of bread. It's a good thing. I'm going to put a little bit of water in here. So adding water into the egg as I whip the egg is going to give it a tendency to fluff up a little bit. Whip the egg nicely. You don't want to mix in the potatoes if they're too hot, because what's going to happen is the egg's going to cook. You don't want the egg to cook too soon. You want it to cook in the pan, not in the mixing bowl. I'll add the mushrooms. Oh, they smell good. Mushrooms and asparagus. Can't go wrong with that. Let's throw in a little bit of salt, my mix of kosher salt and sea salt. And a crack of pepper. And I think what I'm going to do is give it a little bit of Spanish pimentón. This is going to give it a little bit of a tinge of color and a little bit of a smokiness flavor to it. Okay, now we're going to fold in the potato and onion mix. This is a great thing to make, and you can take it to lunch, to school for lunch. Doesn't really need a lot of refrigeration. And now we'll fold it together. So as you can see, the potato mixture was cool enough so it did not cook the egg. Like I say, if you put it in too hot, put the potato mix in too hot, it's going to cook the egg. You're going to end up with scrambled eggs, and that's going to be a mess. And the trick to getting this out, it's an inversion trick that I do. I don't really invert, but the pan inverts. Okay, so we're going to test it and see if it's hot enough, just like this. Yep, it's sizzling. Okay, here we go. So you can see it's going to start to set up on the edges first. Now here comes a little bit of tortilla technique. It's out of the way. We'll turn the fire up a little bit. And I'll get this out of the way. Get this out of the way so we can just concentrate on the tortilla. Okay, so it's starting to set up on the sides, on the edges. So I'm going to run this heat-proof spatula around the sides and kind of fold the edges into the center allowing the loose mix that's in the center to come out to the edge so that can continue to cook as well. So you just kind of push it in and tilt the pan. Push it in and tilt the pan. Push it in and tilt the pan. Like that. Just like that. Just like that. And then you let it set up a little bit more. And you can see how the liquid's just kind of going to the edge. That's where it wants to be. Let's give it a little bit more black pepper or pimienta negra. So once it's solidified, like 3/4 of the way, then we'll go ahead and pop it into a 350, 360 oven. And see how it's starting to inflate here now. So this is starting to cook well. You don't want it too high. It's smelling very good. And you're going to also want, when you do invert it and flip it over, you're going to want a nice tan, almost a golden brown color on the bottom of it, because that's what you'll see, because it's flipped over, so you're going to see the bottom of it. So I had a great time today at Wise Acre Farms, and I learned so much about farming chickens and eggs and raising chickens and selling eggs and all that sort of thing. And they really have their act together. They're quite successful, and they are doing what they want to do. Both of them have a very strong passion for this, and they taught me a lot. So I got some eggs from them, and that's why I decided to make this Spanish tortilla, or tortilla española. And the folks at Wise Acre, they're a younger couple, and they decided to just get out of the businesses that they were in and just go full on into what they were passionate about, which is farming chickens. And I strongly believe in that you should follow a career that you're really passionate about. So when you get up in the morning or you get up at night, you look forward to going to work. I just think that's so important. I did that. I didn't make a whole bunch of money at it, but I love being in the kitchen. I love cooking. I love entertaining people. That's what brought me into the restaurant business. But I strongly suggest that you follow that passion. If you find something that you really want to do, go for it. You know, life's short, and people that follow their passions perform and produce something that the public can tell that they're passionate about. Just a little bit of my philosophy. Okay. This is getting ready, so I'm going to go ahead and pop it in the oven for a little bit. And once it goes in the oven, all this in the center is going to start to tighten up all the way through. And yeah, it shouldn't be very long. You can see the color that it's turning. You see that? It's that nice golden brown that we're looking for. Okay, in the oven it goes. Okay. Look at that. It's nice and firm. You can see I blanched the asparagus a little bit so they still have their nice green color. So if you do this at home, make sure that you use a heat-proof spatula. Yep, I'm glad I did that. Now you can see it's totally loose. Okay. Here's the trick. You ready for it? That puppy is hot. Okay, put the plate on top like that. Flip it over like that. There you go, a perfect tortilla española. It's got nice color on the outside. It's formed a nice, very nice skin on the outside. And it's just, you can just, that is an aroma of Spain right there. See how it just tightened up nicely along the sides? So now you can leave it, let it sit out and cool for a bit and enjoy it. This is great to enjoy. It's healthy. It's easy to make. Goes great with a glass of red wine. Salute. Catch you next time on The Organic Rose. Next time on The Organic Rose, we visit a local gym that gets you fit in only one 20-minute session per week.